Blast Zone, that's our first one. Blast Zone. Constructed? This is a nice constructed card, eh? And this is gonna have like some sideboard, or not, yeah, no, I'd say some sideboard merit. Or limited as well. I don't know how to rate this in constructed though. No, it can't kill a mass zombies because it enters with a charge counter on it, so it can never kill zombies, right? If you remove the counter, sure. But I mean, just naturally by itself, it can't. I'm happy to give this a 4. It's going to be played in multiple formats. I'm happy to give this a 4. I think it's going to be good. I think a lot of decks are going to be running it. It will be a one of in a ton of decks, if nothing else. So, I'm happy to give it a high rating. Emergence Zone, add a Colorless. 1 tap, sacrifice it. You may cast spells this turn as though they had flash. This is cute, but honestly, in limited, you can do so much better. I don't think this is going to have too much utility. I'm going to give it like a 1. Constructed, I think it might be a little bit better. -1/1. Maybe like a 1.5 in constructed, but even still, I just don't really see this finding in a home. I think this is just normally going to be bad overall. Oops. Gateway Plaza, all right. So Gateway Plaza in some limited formats would be absurd. I think this is still going to be a format where you're going to run multiple colors. Constructed, I'll give it a 1 because it's played in like the Gates deck. Sometimes it's pretty bad. Otherwise, in constructed, you'd almost never want to run this card. But in limited, I mean, I can honestly see this. I could honestly see this being like a 2.5 or a 3, which as far as limited is concerned, that's pretty high for a land like this. Again, this could even be as high as a 3. As somebody who hasn't even played the format yet, as I imagine most of you haven't, it's kind of hard to say without actually playing with the cards a lot of the times. So once we get our first, few drafts in or whatever, it's going to become a lot more reasonable, or a lot more apparent, what is good and what is not. So, Interplan Beacon. Whenever you cast a Planeswalker spell, you gain 1 life. Add 2 mana of different colors. Spend this ability only to cast Planeswalker spells. Like, I feel like I want this card to be good. I just want to play it's uncommon though, so for starters, it's hard to get multiples of these and then just build like a random Planeswalker deck in limited. So, bad. But I want it to be good. But it's probably bad. Karnes Bastion. This is a card I can get behind. Do you think constructed decks are going to play this? Because I could see this in some constructed decks for sure. It's just like a 1 of. That's so crazy. Proliferate on a land is weird as hell. I can give this a 1.5 in limited, I think. No, probably better give it a 1, but man. I want this to be good. I want to believe. I want to believe. Is it a great mana sink though? It requires some work. I think a 1.5 might be okay, but... Right, again, you're not gonna run a one... You're not gonna want to run more than like one of these in your constructed deck, but it's very possible you do. So... I mean, there's not a 0 cost, it's a colorless land in your deck. That could be a really, very real downside. Alright, Mobilization District. Add colorless, 4 mana, it becomes a 3/3 citizen creature with vigilance until end of turn. It's still a land. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each legendary creature and planeswalker you control. This card seems good too, man. Honestly? You can run this in some random control decks too. I could see this being like a 1.5 and then like a 3. Again, not a card that you're going to run multiple of in any constructed deck, but... It's not bad. It's not bad. It is expensive, but sometimes you don't have anything to do with your mana anyways, so... Carn the Great Creator. 4 mana, 5 loyalty. Activated abilities of artifacts your opponent's control can't be activated. +1 until your next turn, up to 1 target non-creature artifact becomes an artifact creature with power and toughness, each equal to its converted mana cost. -2, you may choose an artifact card you own from outside the game or in exile, reveal that card, and put it into your hand. So this is terrible for limited. And remember, when it says outside the game for limited, it's speaking of your sideboard. So basically just a 0. Basically just a 0 in limited IMO. You know what? I'm gonna give him a 4. I'm gonna give him a freaking 4 in constructed. This is probably not correct. I want to believe. I'm believing. You mark my words. Karn is gonna do great things. Great things. But don't quote me on that. It's probably gonna be closer to like a 2. Ugin the Ineffable. Why does that word look so weird? Ineffable. I don't know why that word looks so weird. Anyways, 6 mana, 4 loyalty. Colorless spells you cast cost 2 less to cast. Exile the top card of your library face down and look at it. Create a 2/2 colorless spirit creature token. When that token leaves the battlefield, put the exiled card into your hand. Destroy target permanent that's 1 or more colors. What do you mean so bad? This card seems very good to me. This is at least a 4 in limited. At least, probably I'm giving this a 4.5 in limited. I'm not sure how to rate this in constructed, but it's probably going to find a home in constructed too. I'm giving this a 4 and a 4.5. The problem is the mana cost for constructed. Oh yeah, this is like 10 times better than Karn. Karn was probably like a 2. This seems better than Leona to me. I like this card. This card seems nice. Ugin's Conjurant. X. Enters the battlefield with X 1/1 counters on it. If damage would be dealt to it, while it has a 1/1 counter, prevent that damage. So it's got the, oh no, what are those? Phantom. It's got the Phantom abilities, the Phantom creature abilities. Not the Neshoba. That was a specific Phantom creature, but they were Phantoms, yeah. I doubt this is gonna see any play in Constructed. I'm pretty happy with this in Limited, though. It scales really well, and it's hard to kill with damage-based abilities. What? You play it in every single Limited deck. What are you talking about? It's still like if you make it a 5/5 and it it gets chunked by a 3/3. Oh, I guess that's not a good example. Okay, all right. You're right. It's not Phantom. I read that wrong. I was trying to cover my tracks, but that's not correct. It's fine in Limited still. It's fine. It's not Phantom good though, but it's like a 2 or a 2.5. I certainly read it wrong. I thought it was the Phantom ability, but it says remove that many 1/1 counters. And again, you can still proliferate on top of it, so. Firemind Vessel. Enters the battlefield tapped, add 2 mana of different colors. I like this card. I like this card a lot. I'm gonna give it a 2.5. This is a little bit high, but I want to believe that multicolored decks are a thing. So. Never passed a Firemind Vessel in my life. God Farrow Statue. Spells your opponent's cast cost 2 more to cast. At the beginning of your end step, each opponent loses 1 life. I want this to be good. I don't think it is, though. It's just too expensive. By the time you play it, your opponent's not going to have that many cards left in their hand anyways. And so the fact that it's increasing their cost is probably not super relevant. The 1 life doesn't seem super relevant either at this rate. There have been cards that are very close to 5s, but I don't think I've given a true 5 in this set. And not every set needs a 5. Enters the battlefield, draw a card, sacrifice it, add 2 mana of different colors. This might actually be played in Constructed. I kind of like this card. I almost want to give it a 2.5. I think we'll just leave it like that, though. Right, but it cycles initially. Iron Bully. 1/1 menace. When it enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. It's so hard. So hard to rate these 1/1 counter creatures. I think it's a 2 just because of the proliferate shenanigans. But yeah, it's probably closer to a 1.5, which is the same rate as a bear. That's exactly what it is, a proliferate starter. Mana Geode. Add 1 mana of any color, and when it enters, scry 1. Now that's my kind of card. That's what I'm talking about. A solid 2. The most solid of 2s. Prismite, 2 mana, 2/1. Add 1 mana of any color. All right, you can have your 1.5. Saheeli's Silverwing, 2/3 flyer for 4. Enters the battlefield, look at the top card of target opponent's library. Two at its best, probably a 1.5. Yuck, dude. Just yuck. Super filler. Super filler. All right, I think that is the end, right? I've gone through all the cards.